Tiger fans, welcome to episode 263 of the official Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club podcast, bringing you all the latest news, updates, and buzz surrounding your mighty JSU Tigers. I am the Corey C. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast to be notified of all future episodes. Apple Podcast and Spotify video users, rate and review the show, and everyone, go follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Instagram and Twitter. It all helps the cause, which is the I love Jackson State University. All right, I am back in the booth. This time I got my dog with me. You already know who it is. Mike B, what up?
Nothing much, man. What's going on with the Corey C? What's going on, Tiger fans? Good to be back.
Oh, yeah, happy to have you back for your first video episode. And it's a special one. It is a special one. I know you're ready for this one along with all the other fans.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to go.
Game. Absolutely.
Yes,
all right,
indeed.
so without further ado, I've been waiting for this one. Let's get to it. We have two special. I don't know how many times I can say special guests joining us today. First and foremost, he is a record-setting quarterback at Jackson State, or he was a record-setting quarterback at Jackson State from Indianola, Mississippi, up in the Delta, a 4-year starter from 2002 until 2003. He threw for 11,797 yards and 104 touchdowns. You know him as Superman. Robert Kent, welcome back, Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club.
What's up, fellas? What's up, Tiger Nation, baby? How y'all doing out there?
All right, man. Happy to have you back. And also another record-setting quarterback. He hails from Grand Rapids, Michigan. He was a 2-year starter after coming from junior college, 2010, 2011, 7,227 yards, 58 touchdowns. You know him as the White Tiger. Casey Therriault, welcome back to Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club.
Thanks for having me again. Good to be here. What's going on, Tiger Nation?
Absolutely. And again, you both have been on Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club, but your names always seem to come up in conversations when we're talking about great quarterbacks, record-setting quarterbacks, and obviously there's a storied history and tradition at Jackson State, but you two stand out, right? So I guess the first thing that I want to know is, have you two ever met? Is this your first time coming together right here on Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and jump it off, man. This is the first time I've officially met the great white tiger. You know what I mean? The guy who's been chased my numbers and did a great job. So it's officially a great opportunity to meet you. You know, put a name with the face. I always saw you with a helmet on. I was like, man, I don't even want to see him because he's trying to take my numbers down. But records are meant to be broken.
He was going after him.
Yeah, man. It's since the day I arrived, it was all about Superman. So, you know, I was just trying to do my thing out there and try to chase Superman as best I could, and to officially meet him. It's it's kind of like all them conversations coming true right now, and just a lot of charisma, man. I can see why he's such a great quarterback.
Absolutely. And, you know, Mike B, you know, it's surprising that these two haven't met when you just talk about the history that they both have at Jackson State. We have to figure out a way to bring back all of our greats, just bring them back together from time to time. I look at the University of Miami. It's kind of that template. You know how they have that camaraderie, that fraternity. It seems like they're always reuniting at games and different functions. So I think we need to do a better job of that at Jackson State. I know Cat Morris, he's been on the show. He talked about when he came to Jackson State, it was almost a requirement for him to learn about the past greats, know their names. It's like he was quizzed or tested. So I don't know how that's been lost, but I think definitely bringing our legends together, we got to do a better job of that.
Yeah. Well, Corey, you remember that was one of the whole goals of Tiger Talk was to bridge any gaps that were you know, within our, you know, storied tradition rich history. We're just trying to bring them together, and also take an opportunity like we are now to just, you know, give guys their flowers, man. Because you talk to a lot of players that they feel like maybe they didn't, you know, get the recognition that they needed or should have gotten for their playing years and the time that they've contributed and given to the university. So we're happy to have y'all both on here to you know, kick off that.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there, man. I gotta say, man, just the city, the town, the state, they always show love to Superman. You know, I just wish I had some of them NIL deals that were jumping off right now. You know, that's going on.
Absolutely.
Them things is looking nice out there. Them NIL deals, you know, we've been looking real good, Casey. You hear me?
Right.
Yeah. Well, how was that for you guys? Because you mentioned, you know, I remember the cover with the Superman logo and everything. But how was it like for you guys just being the man almost overnight for you all? Because I know, Casey, you came in over the summer and you got right to it with Delta State. You know, Kent, you came in the Tennessee State game. I think that was 2000 season. We came in the stadium. We thought TC was going to be the quarterback. And we see Kent right out there. I'm like, whoa. And then, you know, for that, after those first 2 or 3 weeks, your legacy was almost solidified in that sense. So what was it like just moving around town, moving around Jackson, and being a local celebrity?
Man, I got to tell you, man, it was wonderful. Man, that was some instances while I was out there wilding out, you know, and I had some local guys that kind of was on my side. They was like, you know what, you take care of yourself. We're going to make sure you get where you're supposed to be. So, man, I got love on all sides of the city, man. When I was in the hood with the fellas, or I was at the games, or I was at the barbershop, to the car washes, to the burger joint behind the school. I mean, everywhere we went, man, it was number love. So, man, I mean, Jacktown, people just don't understand. We was playing in front of 40, 50,000 people in college. You know, a lot of people didn't have that opportunity, and it was an amazing feeling to have that much love coming from Mississippi when, you know, they always look at Mississippi as a small piece of this 50 states. No, we're a big piece, man, because we got some big-time talent there.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. And fun fact about you guys, you're both still playing football. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I know you just threw for 8 touchdowns in your last game for the San Antonio Gunslingers in the National Arena League last month. And you got to let everyone know where you are right now and show them. And you may have to jump off. So if you have to jump off, we get it. But once you tell everybody what you're doing, they'll understand. And then Casey, you're back in Europe. You're in Germany, and you just threw for, I think, 4 touchdowns for the New Yorker Lions in the German football league, and it was your first game since 2020. So way to shake the rust off. So what's the key for you guys? I mean, to still be playing football these many years later, especially you, Ken. I mean, I think you're up there with Tom Brady in terms of how long you've been playing. But what's the key? Was the fountain of youth for you guys?
Go ahead, Case. You can go do your thing.
No, I mean, to be honest, it was my first game since 2019, and you know, like over the years, you get the little bumps and bruises, and the injuries catch up a little bit. But you know, I'm only 33 still, so I'm actually feeling pretty good. Like at this point in my life, I just I just stay active and you know, do the things that are necessary. It's part of my lifestyle anyway. You know, like I've always been active and an athlete, so it's not something I let go very easily. So even if I'm not playing football, I'm playing basketball, I'm in the gym, I'm staying active, playing golf. You know, I'm doing things like that just to stay active.
Man, I'm a piggyback off that, Casey. It's just being active, man. From the little kiddos I deal with. You know, I teach school out here in Texas, so the kids keep me on my toes. I'm always telling them, hey, man, if I can do it, I know y'all can do it. Mm-hmm. You know, I wasn't a hooper like Casey was. I was a tennis player. You know, tennis was my second sport. So go JSU tennis. You know, for all those players out there.
Yeah,
but man,
you hooped in high school.
A little modest there because I remember your days in Nola Gentry.
Come on,
you know, y'all had a pretty good squad.
State championship game his junior year. Come on, he doesn't know who he's talking to, Mike. He forgot.
Hey man, look,
Provine High School. You know, come on,
Jim Hill, that's true. At the big house. Yeah.
Hey, we kept losing, so I tried not to worry about that basketball too much. We get to the big game, man. We just laid a goose egg, man. I was like, Jacktown didn't want them Delta boys getting no championship, man. That's what it was.
But Kent, real quick, tell everybody where you are, and I'll show them. And if you got it, you know, at any point, if you got to jump off, so they'll know why.
Yeah, man. I'm actually, you know, finished my season in San Antonio, and you know, God be the glory, man. I ended up winning the most valuable offensive player of the year in the Arena League. So at 41 years old, and still being able to do it and get recognized for the stuff that I do on the field, man, it's a blessing. But right now, I'm at the Carroll Clinic in Dallas, out here by the Star, and you know, that 41-year-old body don't do what it used to do. So I got to go in here and see Dr. Cooper, the Cowboys doctor, actually. And he's going to get me right. This is actually the second time I had to see him. I tore my ACL, my meniscus, and my PCL in 2019 after winning a championship. Oof. He got me right. I didn't play in 2020, 2021. I won a championship again with the team in North Texas Bulls. And this past year, I played one more year in San Antonio. I think I got one more year left under my belt, and I think I'm going to hang it up, man. So we'll see what happens.
No doubt.
But I'm coming back to Jackson, so we need to get the crew together so we can make it happen.
Let's do it. I want to be there for it. Tiger Talk will be there. But Ken, at any point when you got to jump off, just give us the deuces. We understand, man. We understand you're doing what you got to do. So we appreciate the time.
Hey, man. Hey, I love you fellas, man. I appreciate this opportunity. Casey, man, keep doing your thing. I'm finna be looking out for you now and going pubbing you out there, man. Because it's, like I said, you represent not just for yourself, man. You still represent them Tigers, man. I'm always punching them Tigers. Ain't nobody, hey, I love Deion to death and what he doing. But them Tigers were Tigers before he got there, and we're going to be Tigers when he leaves. So let's keep doing what you're doing,
That's
baby.
Right.
No
exactly.
Doubt.
You too.
Hey, appreciate you guys, man.
All right, yes, sir.
All right, Ken, appreciate it.
All right, so Casey, so I want to go back to something that you talked about. You know, when you first got to Jackson State, I guess, in the first game, rather, just coming out, guns a blazing, and I think we knew right away that we had something special. So, at what point did you start hearing about this name, Robert Kent? Like, I'm pretty sure you used to
immediately.
Yeah, tell us about that. Like, how did that come up?
Man, it was just like everybody wanted that type of magic again. And it was like they were just like the whole city, all the fans, like all the coaches, they just wanted something special like that again. And I don't blame them, you know, like that may have been some pressures that were maybe passed down to some players, but you know, immediately after him that some lived up to it and some maybe thought it was a little bit too much, but yeah, I mean, it was immediately. As soon as I stepped in the door, it was like, look who was here before you. Look what they did. Look who they used to be. And, you know, for me, like, that works. Like, that kind of stuff works for me because I take it like a challenge immediately. You know, like, this is phenomenal. And immediately I got to learn about all these great players before me, especially the guys that played my position. And I think that was important for me, especially coming from Michigan, not really so familiar with the tradition and history of Jackson State, HBCUs in general. So when I got pushed into that right away from the get-go, it wasn't like it wasn't not important. They made it very important from the get-go. And in the back of my mind, I was like, damn, I want to be talked about. Like, I want to be important like this for the future generations and for the future players coming in too. So it definitely helped just to learn straight off the gate who's who. You know, who people remember, why they remember them. And yeah, it definitely motivated me to be the player that I was on top of everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you make a good point there, especially talking about added pressures coming into a situation, having to learn a playbook, new terminology, and then you go to campus, you go throughout the city, you hear people talking about Robert Kent and the records he broken. Jimmy Oliver has just not too long, you know, had left and he came in and won a SWAC championship. So you were automatically put under the microscope and you were kind of in their shadows for a moment. So, yeah, I never really considered that, how much of an added pressure there might have been. And for you to still, you know, come out and ball out the way you did, man, that's remarkable.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And you know, what's crazy is like you know, those two especially were so respected and so glorified for the things they did. It was like no way you were going to get this type of magic again at Jackson State. And it was I don't know, it was a special feeling. And, you know, I don't know if that's something that got lost, but I wish I would have been able to just listen more and just see them guys more, at least when I was there. Like, that would have been great and special too. And, you know, like we were saying earlier, like, you know, when Kent was on the call, I just like to be a listener sometimes and just kind of like, you know, these guys are older and, you know, they've lived the things that I'm probably going to live in the near future, you know, just like they did when they were there. It would have been great to hear their perspective and kind of just been closer to these type of guys when I kind of stepped into that situation. Just because I'm the type of guy that would just talk his head off and ask a bunch of questions if we had like a one-on-one moment and just kind of find a path that worked for them so I didn't make the mistakes that, you know, you inevitably make when you're just kind of paving your own way and trying to do something special when these guys kind of did it already. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And continuing that Jackson State quarterback lineage, obviously right now, number 2, Mr. Shedeur Sanders. So, you know, a guy who, as a true freshman, you know, close to 4,000 yards, and he's projected by many to exceed the 4,000 yard mark and potentially start breaking some single season records, some SWAC records. You know, his name is being mentioned in the same conversation as Steve McNair. We're just talking about numbers. Obviously, Steve McNair, one of the greats to ever do it. But just as you kind of sit back and watch him, what's your take on quarterback number 2? On quarterback number 1, who is wears jersey number 2?
Yeah, no, I mean, Shedeur is phenomenal. You know, he's a great athlete. I think all the pieces that are being built around him are just phenomenal things that just are gonna help him be successful and you know, are going to make life a little bit easier for him, just to make those athletic plays and kind of just have his fun and have his time trusting his guys out there. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better situation, you know, to be coached by such a phenomenal player, athlete, football mind, you know, student of the game, and his dad. I mean, the coaches they have around them, guys, like, that's just phenomenal. It'd be an amazing time to be a Jackson State football player right now. And I think Shedeur has all the weapons, all the tools to be successful at any level, and to do it at Jackson State with the guys that you know, that with coaches, like, it's kind of like, you know, I don't know, it's kind of mind blowing for me to think about having all these weapons and resources in the situation when I was at Jackson State. Just putting myself in his shoes, like, that's a special time for him to do something really, really special.
Yeah, I can just imagine you can look at the current roster right now, see the wide receivers, and, you know, all the stars by their name and all the accolades they had and where they come from and all the offers they had. I know you would have loved to have an arsenal like that. Now, you had some good receivers. You had some good ones.
I'd be licking my chops.
Right here. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
What do you think about the recruiting that they're doing with Coach Prime and the staff they're doing? Because now, if you go back to Comedy, he was a great recruiter, because he was one of the first coaches, especially in the SWAC, to really go after those transfers. And this was way before the transfer portal. So you guys had it loaded rosters the couple years that you were there. Now you have, of course, you guys like Rico Richardson, your homegrown talent that you recruited out of high school. But for the most part, he hit that portal hard. But what's your take on just seeing 4-star commitments consistently at Jackson State, and even a 5-star, and all the offers that are going after those 5 stars, and the visits and the potential to sign more of them?
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing. And you know, Comedy put together a hell of a team for 3-4 years in a row. And, you know, he was finding guys that were more or less passed over more times than none. And, you know, he was finding them diamond in the roughs and these guys that truly blossomed into phenomenal football players. But getting 4-star, you know, 5-star recruits out of high school, transfer portal guys that were 3 stars out of high school that are coming from these big schools, like, I mean, I would like to say that I'm surprised and shocked that Coach Prime's able to do that, but I'm really not. You know, like, this is again, like, this is the magic effect of being Deion Sanders, and it's like this has been his whole life. He's just had this magical effect on everybody and everywhere that he's ever went. So I can't say that I'm surprised that this is happening, but I just think it's a very special time in Jackson State's history, and I think HBCUs in general are going to benefit a lot from this.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no question. Yeah. Now, speaking about Coach Prime and his staff, he brought in recently a new offensive coordinator, Brett Bartolone, who he said he's going to come in and implement more of an attack style of offense. Some people will say it's air raid because of his coaching lineage, you know, coming under Mike Leach and guys like that. Now, you played in an offense similar to that, you know, with Coach Wilson here on the Coach Comedy, where you had the air raid, where you just kind of aired it out and you know, put a lot of pressure on the defense. Do you prefer that style of offense, or more like a setting up using the pass to set up the run, or are you more of a power guy where, you know, you want to run the ball and impose your will, then go over top?
Yeah,
which one is more fun for you as a quarterback?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I played in like pistol, triple veer, triple option. I played under center in high school. I also did a lot of shotguns. So that, you know, it kind of has to do a lot with like who you have around you. And for my time at Jackson State, at least, like, I just felt like we kind of hit the nail on the head with the kind of weapons we had, and you know, my playing style, it definitely complemented what we did as far as running like an air raid, like pseudo power air raid offense. And a lot of times, like, I'm comfortable with throwing 2-3 yard passes as if we're running the ball, you know. And I mean, obviously, you guys know, like, I also like to air it out. So that's just,
we know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just like, that just complemented my playing style. And I think somebody who's athletic like Shedeur is going to benefit a lot from playing this type of style, because even when you get out of the pocket, you got 4 or 5 options running scramble drill and guys coming every which direction. So I think he's very capable of doing that. And I think he's capable of throwing an extra 1,000 yards on the season if he's getting out and buying time with his legs and keeping his eyes downfield. So that's definitely going to be big for their offense. That became a little stagnant at times last year. So I definitely hope they're able to put up some more points and, just kind of turn it up a notch.
Yeah. When looking back at last season, I don't know how much of the games you got to watch, but do you see anything you can contribute that stagnancy to? Do you think it was more of just the offensive line, or just him not being able to trust the offensive line, or is it just scouting, just defenses and coaches trying to kind of figuring him out?
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line wasn't as good as it's going to be this year, but you can contribute that a lot to some of the mundane play calling. I think it came a little too predictable at times. And it started off early. So like typically when you start off a little bit slower, scoring 7-10 points a game in the earlier times of the season, let's say the first 2-3 games of the season, usually you figure it out. And what happened is we all thought they figured it out come game 5 and 6. They're scoring 40 points. 45 points. And then suddenly towards the tail end of the season, it's almost like it became so predictable once our offense figured it out that defenses were starting to figure out how to slow that offense down again. And then now we're scoring 13, 15 points again towards the end of the season. And it shouldn't be going that direction towards the end of the season, at least for an offense with so many athletes and so many weapons on that side of the ball. So I think my prediction is going to be, with this new kind of faster run and gun style, guys kind of going in multiple directions, I think Shedeur not being a freshman anymore is probably going to benefit them to put up some more points on the board.
Yeah, definitely that growth between that freshman and sophomore season for most athletes on in any sport, that's usually one of the biggest leaps. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what Shedeur can do this season. Because I want to talk to you about just the brand of Jackson State today in your eyes, especially being you're all over the world actually, but when you're back home specifically in the States, because Mike can attest, we've been in Orlando 15 plus years. I think Mike 17 or so years for you, 17, 18 years for me. So here in Orlando, not an HBCU hotbed. There's a FAMU not far in Tallahassee, and there's Bethune-Cookman about an hour away. But for the most part, outside of that, you don't have those people who are very familiar with HBCUs. But despite that, over the years, and Mike can attest, whenever we're wearing the JSU logo, we would always get stopped. Oh, Jackson State, people recognize it. Whether it's Walter Payton or the Sonic Boom. If nothing else, those are two things that, people always are familiar with. But once Deion Sanders, once Coach Prime became the head coach, it just went to another level, right, in terms of just people stopping us. Oh, Jackson State, random people. So from your perspective, have you noticed any difference when you're repping that brand now that Coach Prime there is there versus prior?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think I went to a University of Florida game. I forget who they played, but I was wearing like the IBELIEVE shirt at the game, and I had multiple people be like, "Hey, love your shirt. I love what they're doing over there," and they may not have known who I was. It was just more or less just like a recognition of like, oh yeah, like I know what's going on with that T-shirt. Jackson State's on the map, and you just kind of get like that would never happen before. So I think that's it's kind of crazy that like the school itself is now a brand that's recognized when you're on the University of Florida's campus, opposed to anywhere just like outside of Mississippi. Usually it was never really recognized before if I was wearing a T-shirt or something. Now you could be in a completely different part of the country and it's like, yo, I love what's going on over there.
Yeah, well, we flipped a couple of UF guys back during the recruiting season a year ago. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah, they probably still heard about that.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's one final thing I want to talk to you about before you go. And I know every time you go on a podcast, Talk Jackson State, this subject comes up. The Southern Jaguars. So I cannot let you leave without bringing it up. And I definitely wanted to ask Kid. Obviously, Kid had to jump off, and he said he forgot about the appointment today, or whatever the case may be. So he wants to, definitely redo this again if we can. But I wanted to ask you too. Is one thing that you have in common outside of breaking all the records and all the numbers that you put up, but it was just ripping Southern's heart out. So what was it about Southern? And for you specifically, because I know you've talked about that game numerous times, so you don't have to recap the final 2-3 minutes. But when did you know how big of a rivalry it was? Because for Kent, he knew, because his red shirt freshman year was 99, the first year of the SWAC championship games. And we had two just historic games against Southern. So he realized how nasty that rivalry was before he took the helm. But for you coming in just like right in the middle of the summer, like when did you know? And I know Mike is going to tell the story of how he sent you a message on social media prior to the game, but at what point did you realize this rivalry?
I mean, first of all, when I came, my first game, Delta State, and they're like, oh, big rivalry. Like, this was the team that beat like Jimmy Oliver and then when they won the SWAC championship. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, cool. We start with a big rivalry, and it's like, all right, they must be really good. What's going on? This was a SWAC championship team everyone's been talking about, you know. So we go out, beat them. And then the next game, it's like Tennessee State, and it's like big rivalry. I'm like, another big back-to-back big rivalry. So I'm like, all right, cool, let's go beat Tennessee State. Then it's Southern. I'm like, they're like, this is the biggest rivalry. I'm like, you guys got to stop saying the biggest rivalry because that lasts all season long. So by the time I got there, it was like, all right, another rivalry game. But I knew going into that, I seen this. Like, it was a different atmosphere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I started seeing people piling in, the band's going extra loud, and I'm just like, okay, like this must really be the rivalry. So within like the first couple minutes, I think I was so excited. I think my first pass, I threw like 10 feet over my receiver's head. I just had so much energy for the game. And I think after the first possession, I was like, okay, I officially hate Southern.
Okay.
More than anybody more than anybody that we played so far. So that was a bit of me just really not wanting to lose. That's it.
Yeah. Because as Corey said, I sent you a message on Facebook, and you had your Facebook page there, and I said, look, I just need to drop 50. I just need 50 points. You know, let's just drop 50.
Got close to it.
We got close. You know, and we got the dub. That was most important. But I said I want 50, at least 50. But we got pretty close. That was pretty good. Yeah, you and Rico. Y'all broke their hearts.
I mean, the good thing about it though is that like I was always educated on like the who's who before we played them. Like no one let me go into a game blind. So like if they hated them for some reason, everybody wanted to make sure that I hated them equally as much before we went and played them. So that was all instilled in me like before the games, and all our seniors and stuff always made sure it was like, we need this one. Like this one we need 100%. So that just helps because I'm going in these games blind. It's just another game on the schedule. My first year, and them just harping at me saying, this game, we need it. We hate them. Do not let them win. That's really all it took. All it took.
Yeah. It's good to hear you say that because a lot of guys, they go into it. I guess like Corey said, Kent, he redshirted. He's from Mississippi.
Right,
Look, we have a lot of guys that come from out of town, and they don't realize when you put that JSU uniform on, when you put that helmet on, the impact and the effect that it has on the opponent. That's the guy that circle on their calendar. And that's always been an intangible that I think we miss sometimes because the players that are from out of state, they're not familiar with SWAC culture and JSU history.
Of course.
They don't realize that, hey, this is Valley. Yep, Valley is 3-8, but I mean, or 1-7, but when they play you, they 7-1.
It's the Super Bowl every time someone plays Jackson State, man. It's the biggest game on their schedule every year, and that's how you got to approach every game. It don't matter who it is.
Absolutely. And another big one versus Southern this year, this time at the Vet, I can imagine, man, 60,000 capacity crowd. I can't wait for it. And, just going back to Shedeur, obviously you talk about these great quarterbacks, yourself, Robert Kent, and now Shedeur, things that you guys have in common. He had a great, you all have memorable moments against Southern. Obviously we know what happened with you in the last couple minutes of that game. Robert Kent in the Superdome. We can see him now with the sunglasses on, dancing with the boom.
One of my favorite moments is a tie.
Absolutely. But another one, I don't know if you got a chance to see it or at least sketch the highlights of the Shedeur Southern. What was your thoughts on that moment? When he
it was a little reminiscent. I mean, it wasn't as high scoring and prolific as you like to see. I mean, we always like to see exciting scoring. It's always been like a big scoring mentality, like, let's score points. But when we have those close, I mean, because I'm an offensive guy and I'm a quarterback, I like to score points. So that's the first thing that I always hope for. But I thought it showed a lot for him. I thought it showed a lot to be cool, calm, and composed. The kid carries himself with so much confidence. I think it's important to see, not a lot of things get to shake him or throw him off his game. So I think that's going to carry him a long way. And I think that was a great moment to segue his career for the next couple of years.
Absolutely. Well, I truly appreciate this for our viewers. You probably don't know this, but it's approaching midnight where Casey is. So we thank you for carving time out. Hopefully we can do this again. But for me, Mike can speak on his own. I can speak for him, but give him an opportunity to speak. This is just an honor. Just as forget the podcast. That's great Tiger Talk, but as a fan, we were there both with Robert Kent on campus, but still being a fan, and then years later, seeing you come back and resurrect some of the heroic moments that he gave us. It was always a blessing for us to be a part of. So now for you guys to still be plugged in, so for you to be so approachable, that's key as well, because you guys have gone out and done some great things, but you're still right there. Whenever I reach out to you, you're like, let's do it, whatever you guys need. So we appreciate you just being a Tiger through and through.
Of course.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure for me as well. Yeah. I remember going to the Upstate game, and I think I saw you throw a pass to who was the tight end? Was it Renty?
Renty, yeah.
And I said, "Oh, we got one."
Yes, we knew right away.
I remember I left my baby shower early. I had a baby shower, so I left my wife and I went to the stadium. I'm like, okay, this is working.
Comedy does it again.
Strike, that I heard the eruption from the touchdown, and it was almost like an eruption of like, oh shit, like it's like here we go. You know what I mean? And it was just like, for me, it was such a weight off my chest just to get that one out the way and just keep going from there.
Absolutely. All right. Well, stay in touch. Obviously, we know your schedule is what it is, but if you can make it back to some games, definitely do it. Let us know. VIP treatment for the White Tiger. You already know.
I appreciate it. Sure. Good talking with you guys.
Man, take care. We'll be in touch.
All right.
Mike B, man. Again, honor Casey and Kent to bring them together for the first time. What a moment.
Yeah, man. Yeah, two legends, in the same space. We were able to get on a platform together. They were able to, formally meet. And I know each one has heard so much about the other one. So it was good that we were able to bring them together. You saw it right here on Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club.
History, baby. All right, so Tiger fans, we will catch you in Miami. FYI, Mike B, he got South Florida on lock. I know he's from Orlando, but don't get it twisted. Mike B is the man on South Beach, so holla at Mike B when you get to town.
Oh, yeah, I'm on the road. Just find me on Twitter. Yep, B Mike B. Yeah.
All right, man. We'll catch you.
All right.
And that'll do it for episode 263 of Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. Thank you to all of our listeners. And again, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Apple Podcasts and Spotify video users, rate and review the show. And everyone, follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Instagram and Twitter. We're looking to do some big things with this platform to aid the athletics department, and it all starts with you downloading, subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show. And tell every Tiger that you know. We're on all podcast outlets. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Video, YouTube, and so on. And we'll be posting each episode on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. As always, thanks for your support. Go Tigers. #TheILove.